Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I want to talk about the LA Lakers. We do got a game tonight, man. Maybe our last game of the season. I guess, yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I'm walking into this conversation. And as I've said many times throughout the course of the season, I've liked our roster this year more than I liked last year's roster, both before and after the Luka trade. It was just a better, funner watch now that we have a different coach in place, of whom I like a lot. I like JJ, and I don't find myself ready to fire JJ just because he did not succeed through 4 games in his first round. I don't have any interest in firing him. I think he's an excellent mind that will grow into the poise necessary to display better coaching in the future. That's what I think. And at some point in time, you can't keep firing people because they're not finished products when you hire them as rookies. You know what I mean? And that's going to be unfair because I didn't have that same feeling about Darvin Ham. Didn't have that same feeling about Luke Walton. I didn't care for them like that. I don't know. Just chalk it up to me being flawed, I guess. Favoritism. I don't know. Say what you want. But I didn't care to keep them people. I didn't think they were that great at what they did. I didn't think they had a strong ceiling to what they did. I think JJ has a very strong ceiling. I think for somebody that's never coached grown people, never coached in college, never been an assistant coach in the NBA, I think he's done an amazing job. And I think most people with his experience would have did significantly worse than him. Significantly worse. That doesn't mean that he didn't fail in the end. Well, we still got a game, but I think it's a failure at this point in the playoffs. That doesn't mean that he's going to get it right the first time. They don't even mean he's going to get it right the second or the third time, but I do think 7-8 years down the road, he'll be one of the best coaches in the NBA. I really believe that. He's going to be one of the best coaches in basketball. He's shown glimpses of that throughout the course of the season when he was able to get more out of his roster defensively than ever imagined. Able to get a lot out of these team when they were going through a lot of turnover with changes in the roster, 2 big trades, a change to what he was looking at and how he was able to adapt with that, having less than, doing good with those things in the regular season, getting us all the way to the 3rd seed. I don't think there should be any real conversation, nothing serious about firing him at all. I don't imagine that we should lose confidence in him being our coach, but I do need to see some growth from year 1 to year 2 as it pertains to how he handles certain things, and we'll continue to look at it that way from here. So that's my take on it. I don't think he did a great job in the first round of these playoffs, but I think he did a pretty good job throughout the course of the regular season. And for whatever that's worth, I feel confident that we have our coach of the future. I do. And so hopefully we'll get him a team of guys that he trusts more, and hopefully he'll learn from the failure of the mistakes that were made here. Hopefully he is the type of person that obsesses over these things nauseously throughout the course of the offseason so that he can continue to tweak his style and tweak his way of looking at things and grow as a coach. I think that if anybody's a good bet to be able to do that, I'd say it's him. Based on what I've seen, I say it's him. So I feel really good, man. I feel really good about him. And I'm the guy that remembers when LeBron James shoulder bumped Eric Spoelstra to see what type of energy he had in him. And ain't nobody know if Eric Spoelstra was going to be any good of a coach. And fast forward to where we are today, I don't think there's 3 coaches better than Eric Spoelstra. You know what I mean? I remember that. I was around for all of that. So for me, it's like I've seen coaches grow. I've seen the course of coaches get better and ebbs and flows of different things. We watched Mike Brown go from a coach that I didn't really think was very good with us to go to Sacramento, win Coach of the Year, just to get fired again, you know. So the ebbs and flows of coaching in the NBA and in the pressure to win now and perform right away with less sometimes is a bit much, especially in these big markets. And all things considered, I think JJ's done a very good job. So yeah, for whatever that's worth. Going forward, I want to see the Los Angeles Lakers get us a big man. Get us a big man. I know it's going to probably require us to move some things that are going to open up another hole or 2. But for the life of me, I can't see us going into another season where we're smaller than the teams that we're going up against. We got to be bigger than everybody, man. If I'm building anything around Luka the Don, I'm going to make sure everybody on his team is as big as him. I really am. We're gonna have a massive team. I don't want to see no more small ball, bro. No more small ball. If you want to make sure you have the 5-out model out there, that's fine. 5-out is great basketball. Space the floor, all of that is wonderful. But if the people are my height, bro, it ain't gonna work. No more small ball, please, LA. Please, no more small ball. I humor me, for God's sakes. That's all I'm asking my front office to do. I'm not saying that you can't win doing small ball necessarily. I may not believe in it, but there's gonna be somebody who wins doing it. But humor me, man. Keep the small people off our basketball team. I don't want nobody shorter than Bronny James on our team next year. Nobody. I mean nobody. Get Gabe Vincent off our team, replace him with somebody who's 6'7", please. Like literally. And then from there, make sure you have about 3 7-footers, man. 3 legitimate 7-footers. I don't care what position they play. I genuinely don't care what position they play. Just make sure they're of 7 feet. That's all I'm asking. Big people, man. Because this basketball team is big in certain areas, but then when you start looking at the center position, suddenly the center's just as tall as a small forward. No. You know, Jackson Hayes is a necessity even now because you still want that lob threat for Luka Doncic. I think most people who, if you watch the highlights that I watched of Luka Doncic when he was in Dallas, you saw mainly him operating 2 different ways. And I'm talking hours and hours. It's probably like 3 or 4 hours. I don't remember how long this video was, but it was well over an hour and a half. And what I mostly saw was Luka Doncic breaking people off the dribble, using his stutter steps and his footwork to create 3-point shots and mid-range shots for himself. Not overly creative layup packages, just using his body in a smart way to position himself just right to put the ball in the hoop. You know what I mean? Nothing too fancy. There wasn't a whole lot of that going on. Basic layups, and you saw lobs. Lobs creating that space for that. And then the rest was passes to others. Passes. Random passes that fly out of his arms when the defense sucks in so tight to him that it looks like he has nowhere to go. All of a sudden he gets the ball to where it's open. That's his gift. If he doesn't have that lob threat, you're taking away a good 35% of what he is. He uses that lob as much as any human being alive. We have got to get him multiple lob threats, man. Multiple. Just like Dallas did. You need multiple. If you have one and that player's not out there for some reason he gets hurt, I guarantee you're going to find yourself back to where we are right now. That player cannot just be Jackson Hayes. I don't move Jackson Hayes for that reason alone. Unless I can replace Jackson Hayes with about 2 or 3 guys to where Jackson's no, I still need Jackson. And so I want to say that, especially since it's not that easy to get this lob threat player. But I'm targeting lob threats, man. I'm targeting 7-foot lob threats. Somebody who's going to be able to catch the rock with good hands and then subsequently on the other end be able to block shots and create deflections and be decent on the glass. I don't think this player is easy to find, y'all. I don't. But we need to make sure that we have that player on our team, or 2 or 3 of those guys on our team, just like Dallas did. Where Dallas made the mistake is thinking that's all they actually need. That's the problem Dallas made. They think that's the only player they need. Ain't the only player you need, Dallas. You need Luka to provide them the ball. But nevertheless, that's their business. Our business is to try to get some of those players on our team. And so if you can find one of those guys in the draft, you find one in the draft, you bring them to you. If you can find another one in free agency, you go ahead and get him. If you can find another one in trade, I would do that too. And then if you want to move Jackson Hayes, you can move Jackson Hayes. But otherwise, I think Jackson needs to be on this team for that reason alone. He's still one of the main lob threats. And I'll tell you this. Jackson Hayes is best utilized when he's on the floor with Luka because nobody else is going to get anything out of Jackson Hayes on this roster. LeBron and Austin don't have that in their game where they're just looking for him as a means of opening up things for them. If they find him, they find him. But they don't need that lob threat to create the way that they create. So as a result, you get the very least out of Jackson Hayes. Only time we've seen Jackson Hayes be his best is when Luka's on the floor lobbing him the rock. Otherwise, we haven't been able to use Jackson Hayes in the 2 years that we had him. He ain't been much for us. And so that's really what I got to say. And the fact that Luka can use this player made people think that he's a starter. He ain't a starter, man. He ain't even a backup. He's just a piece that can do exactly what Luka needs him to do. Like literally that. Confusing that with him being able to do anything, I mean, like literally anything else is crazy. It's absolutely insane. And so I said that when he was playing his best ball. And I'll say it now. He ain't nobody to rely upon, man. That's craziness. And I do think it was a massive mistake not waiving Alex Len. I think it was a massive mistake. Especially given the fact that he hasn't had one single point, one single minute in this playoff series. He hasn't even checked into the game. There was absolutely no real reason not to waive him to make sure that Koloko or Jemison was on the roster. There was no real reason to do that. None. This is along the same lines, and I think it's along the same thinking as giving Cam Reddish a player option. And the player don't have no leverage, no cachet to be treated with such respect, but you still give them that respect just because you just whatever goes in your head makes you think that you need to do this. This is the same thing I say about Alex Len. Alex Len don't have no cachet in this league to not get waived after 5 days. He ain't earned that. No disrespect to him, but he ain't earned that or nothing. If it's in your team's best interest, you got to waive him so that you can put the player that you're most likely to use on your team. And if you have that player on your team who can actually help you versus a guy like Alex Len who's sitting on the bench, he's not even playing. This doesn't help you. And that's really what I have to say about that. As much as I appreciate Alex Len for choosing us over the Pacers, after having an agreement with the Pacers, as you can clearly see the Pacers moving on to the second round, he probably should have signed with the Pacers. But he thought he was going to have a bigger role with the Lakers. My thinking is, this is when you got to be honest about yourself, about who you are. Lakers ain't gonna check you in the game, man. Like, you know what I mean? We gotta have self-awareness to a degree to say, hey, man, you know what? Even though the Lakers have a need at the center position, the way that I'm set up, the way my situation is set up, they probably still ain't gonna check me in the game. But you gotta already know that if you're Alex Len, so that you don't psych yourself out of an opportunity to be in a situation that's better for you than to have an open center position that you still ain't filling. It's unfortunate, but that's the truth. Like, you still ain't filling that. They need a center, they still ain't playing you, bro. And so with that being understood, there was a chance that the Lakers would waive you. Once that took place, you probably had more security on the Pacers. But the Lakers, in all things considered, didn't do what they were supposed to do, so that logic didn't actually play out, which is super irony when you consider it. But if the Lakers were doing what they were supposed to do, they'd have waived Alex Len 5 or 6 days after they signed it. Thank you for choosing us over the Pacers, but we have come to the conclusion that it's in our best strategy to go a different direction, and that's what the Lakers got to do. Instead of honoring this guy, doing right by him and hurting ourselves. It's one of those situations where it's like, hey, I'm sure Alex Len appreciates that we didn't waive him, but we going home in the first round. And I think Jemison would have helped a lot with some of them offensive rebounds, some of them screens, some of them situations where we need 50-50 balls dove for. He would help us. I think Koloko probably would have provided some rim protection. If Koloko can do anything, he can shorten some layups. Send some people to the line where they're getting and ones in situations. Some of them key plays that literally hurt the Los Angeles Lakers would have likely been stops or at least quality fouls for Koloko or Jemison. You got to use what you have, and you can't be so intentional on doing right, quote unquote, by random people that you forget that to do right by your whole team is to have everything you need to win. The way I see it is the Lakers were effectively doing right by Alex Len, and as a result, doing wrong by everybody else on the roster. And then putting Alex Len in the position to be embarrassed by the fact that he literally is on a team that needs a center and they ain't even using it. because they think so little of them. It brings me back to the space where we've talked about this before. What position are we putting people in, and do we know what is good for them? If we want to do right by somebody, are we executing it properly, or are we backing them into a situation to look their worst? I was listening to Trevor Lane talk about how he wouldn't put Bronny James on the floor in a playoff situation because that's not fair to him. Same thought. Are we recognizing where we're not being fair to people that we want to do right by? Are we recognizing where we're putting people in positions to fail? Like, this is very important for our organization going forward because we've made this mistake too many times. Having a good heart but executing it the wrong way. Having good intentions but ultimately hurting the rest of the team in the process. It brings me back to that same analogy that we've used several times. You can give space to the car in front of you, but be cognizant that there are people behind you that you're driving slow for. You know what I'm saying? Like, you slowing them down while you're trying to give this person so much space in front of you. They appreciate that you're giving them space, but you're not being considerate to the people behind you. So it's like, at some point in time, we got to be cognizant of all angles, so that in trying to do good business and be considerate, we're acknowledging how to maintain our best protection and our best competitiveness while doing so. And that's one of the reasons why I think we need a basketball president, a president of basketball operations. That's his job, to make sure that everybody underneath him has that bigger picture in mind. And the things around the margin, if we mess those things up, I'm looking at him saying, that's your job to make sure that those things don't happen, so that things get executed on time, within the rules, and to our benefit. Hey, so this is why I keep telling you guys that I think Genie needs to hire a president, so that basketball operations can be operating properly, while everybody who's in their positions can focus on their jobs instead of the bigger picture, for which it should not be their job to focus on. Rob Pelinka is a GM. All you need to be worrying about is doing what GMs do. I don't need my GM to be my president, dog, for this exact reason. This exact reason. Just like I don't need my scouts to be my GM. You understand what I'm saying? Just like I don't need my coach to be my scouts. If we organize our front office so that everybody can focus on themselves and what they need to be doing, and that somebody can oversee all of it so that it comes together for our benefit, I think we'll see the results we're looking for. We probably get out of first round and second round in this series, this playoffs, because our roster is going to look a lot better. We're going to be doing a lot of things, but no thanks. Instead of, yeah, of course, we appreciate you. Thank you for choosing us. You got to have a certain leverage to get a player option, buddy. You got to have a certain leverage for me to give you the consideration of not waiving you if it's in my best interest. It can't be in my best interest to waive you and I'm not waiving you. It can't be in my best interest to say no to you and I'm not saying no to you. You see what I'm saying? How nice I want to be. A loser can be nice, man. You know, nice guys finish last. This is when it really actually is relevant in situations like this. And so that's what I want to say, man. I just think this team needs to get their act together as it pertains to getting the pecking order right in your front office, and it trickles down to everybody else getting what they need done without having to worry about other people's jobs that should be delegated to other human beings. What you put in, you get out of it, you know, when it comes to business, just like anything else. If you halfway do it, half-ass it, so to speak, you're going to get half-ass results. If you cut corners, you're going to be having people who didn't be ahead of you competitively. That's just how that works. And I think when it comes to this front office thing, to this Laker thing, we have cut corners. And I don't know that we got out of it. We were hoping we'd get out of it. I don't think people are happy with the results. And the way I see it is, you can be cheap and say, well, we can only afford to invest this much. But why invest anything at all if we're not going to be successful? Somebody's got to explain to me what we get out of failing, feeling good that we cut costs. I don't think that really helps the overall brand or its value. What makes Luka special is that he's not only decorated as a player, but he's decorated as somebody who already got his team to the finals. Now he's getting bounced in the first round. He can't have too many of those and continue to maintain his status. Talent is talent, but status has to come with some success. You got to be successful in order to maintain that. And it's going to take the organization standpoint to help that process along so that he can be successful. If we're going to ask him to lead our franchise, we can't have him dragging trash. You want to keep something excellent, you got to be excellent too. And so that's what I'm saying to you, man. BDL44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.